So Alicia, start now.
Time and health are two precious assets that we don't recognize and appreciate until they have been depleted. Famous quote by Dennis Wakefield. A very good evening to ladies and gentlemen present here. I, Amisha Patel, heartily welcome you all to this initiative of the Advanced Healthcare Foundation's Adolescence Wing. Our CalSHEum webinar and international panel discussion, Health and Nutrition for Stronger Bones. Associated with osteoporosis, we welcome Bidhan Nagar Rotary Club for participating with us in today's event. To start up the meeting, I would like to call Dr. Shreya Chattopadhyay, Director of Advanced Healthcare Foundation, to share a few words with us.
Thank you, Alicia, and very good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of Advanced Healthcare Foundation, I welcome you all in this event of CalSHEum. Most of the women are suffering from this particular osteoporosis and deficiency of calcium. So the name of our project is CalSHEum. We started this project in the last year, that is 2021, and we started in a very important day, that's Women's Day, that is 8th of March. And since today the most of the participants are from Calcutta, so I would love to share you that this event was inaugurated by Miss Indu Puri, who was very renowned table tennis player from Bengal once upon a time. Now we started doing this project under the expert guidance of Dr. A.K. Pal, without whom today we just could not reach this place. So he is a very good supporter, mentor, good doctor, everything. And as a human being, he is a great personality. We got help from Dr. Sural, from Dr. Boibhav and Dr. Sinjita. We are really thankful to all of them. And we are again, जिनका नाम हम लोग को लेना चाहिए बार बार repeatedly, that is Dr. Pal. So we are very thankful to associate with an eminent doctor like Dr. Pal. Whatever I say about him will not be sufficient, because he is not only a very efficient doctor, but as a very noble person, because he just came forward to help us just to reduce the osteoporosis from India. So I think with his support and our constant effort, rather joint effort, we can do this. And we are doing this last 1 year, we doing community outreach program where we create awareness and distribute calcium supplements to the underprivileged section of our society. We did it with the Delhi police as well. We are thankful to Dr. Shinjita also for helping us in creating some awareness on health and nutrition as well. Today we welcome the Rotary Club of Bidhannagar, especially Mr. Shottobroto. Last day he was present here and he was very much inspired with the program. So ये हमारा मतलब सार्थकता है, if we can just at least motivate one person और किसी का एक का भी help कर सकते, that is very great for us. So it's our really today I am very happy to see that the other Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Charnock City, North Calcutta, Rotary Club of Endeavour, they also join hand with us. So thanks a lot. I cannot forget the name of the person who always support me, motivate me to organize this type of program, and he is none other than Mr. Devi Prasad Bose. So he is also a very big supporter to us. I welcome all the children from schools where we have already established our adolescence club. I welcome all the YouTube participants also. Last but not the least, I welcome all the volunteers of Adolescence Club. It is very heartening to see the enthusiasm and the zeal of such young age Rather, we are trying to train the young generation, starting from organizing the meeting to anchoring to everything they will do, because they are the next generation. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your lovely words. We would like to begin our panel discussion for today by inviting Dr. A.K. Pal, a professor at the Department of Orthopedic and Traumatology, IPG-MER, SSKM Medical College and Hospitals from Kolkata, West Bengal. I request sir to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. So first of all, I'm thanking to Dr. Srijal Chattopadhyay and for his continued endeavor to improvement of the well-being of the society, different strata of the society. And like him, there are different, he's trying incessantly in different parts of the other status, the stalwarts of different Rotary clubs for general well-being and also the general well-being of the different society, different parts of the society. So this is not only the just a single discussion, but this is basically it is a two-way traffic, so that we can share our knowledge, so that we have to make a well-being in among us and also the different our neighbors of our society. So, and also a big thanks to all the different stalwarts of Rotary clubs also, and Dr. Sinjita Dotto for sharing the knowledge, so that we can increase our knowledge and our level of the well-being, not only among ourselves, but also our neighbors, as also in different parts of the society. Thank you. Thank you for.
Over to you, Alisha. So I think any networking problem. So I would love to request Dr. Sinjita also to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody.
Alisha, आप छोड़ दो, मैं बोल दिया. हाँ, please, Dr. Sinjita, please.
Good evening to one and all. I'm very grateful to the organizers for inviting me to speak on this topic of calcium and deficiency. So what I feel is a calcium requirement and vitamin D requirement basically is important in throughout all stages of life, right from before start of birth in the fetal stage, continuing to the adolescent children, and then the child and the elderly people. So this is a very important topic, and knowledge has to be built on it, so that as it is a silent disease, not many people notice this unless and until a catastrophe has already occurred in the form of fractures or falls. So I think awareness is the only key aspect of preventing this, and this can be done prevented very much through lifestyle and diet modification. And so if we are aware, we can prevent these catastrophes to occur. And so I think this is a very important topic and a very important topic to speak about right at the moment. So thank you again, and I hope we will all benefit from the interactions which is going to happen this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sotobratu, do you want to say a few words?
Good evening. I don't like to say something more, because you told or intimated everything. Getting influenced in the last through the last seminar conducted by Dr. Pal and organized by you all. Really, I got so interested. And on request of Devida, or beloved Devi Prasad Bashu, finally you arranged today's seminar, and thank you so much to all of you. Thank you.
Devida, would you like to say something?
No, nothing to add. I can only wish that You keep on doing good work for humanity, and you get people like Dr. Paul, Shotobrato, and many other people to support you, and wish you all success. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so with the permission of the esteemed panelists, we would like to open the floor for the questions, panel discussion.
I think Dr. Pal will share some presentation,
Yes.
right?
Yes, just I want to share some presentation.
Exactly, please.
Okay.
So that it will be easy to ask question also.
Okay. So beyond the calcium and vitamin D, so actually we will want to discuss about the diet for the well-being. So why we are concerned about the diet? So within 10 to 15 minutes, we'll be able to understand to how the diet will help us to remain healthier in the form of inflammation, like a fight against the inflammation, fight against the disease, as also aging process. We all will age ultimately will increase our age, but we have to be aged gracefully. So it is the better term is the aging gracefully. How the aging gracefully is possible? So beyond the calcium and vitamin D, which is most important for bone strength. So in this evening, we'll very much concerned about the how the diet will increase our potentiality of the healthy well-being. So why we are concerned about the diet? Immunity is the power of individual to fight against the disease, and this immunity may be innate, that is hereditary, or it may be adaptive, that's acquired. And what happens if the immunity is deficiency, if deficient, that means immunity suppression, because that leads to diseases. And diet has the direct relationship with the both immunity, that is innate as well as adaptive. So what are the different strata by which we can fight the disease? We are living in the world of the disease. So there are three types of defense in our body. First is the first line of defense, which is the physical barrier, which is the intact skin, which has the acidic skin secretions, basically the keratinization layer, a keratinized layer of the skin that prevents any infection to come inside the body. And there are intact mucosa of different system, like especially the respiratory system and the genitourinary system, which has a direct communication with the exterior, which has the mucus secretion, nasal hairs, cilia, gastric juice, acidic vaginal secretion, digestive enzymes in the saliva and the tears, and also the urine. It has a different antibacterial substances which fight against the bacteria, which is continuously coming inside our body. So as you can see, there are different systems in the body, not going into detail. I think all of you know. But when the first line of defense fails, something is introducing inside our skin, like any cut marks or that by pin prick, anything. In tears, injury happens. Now the second line of defense comes into action. What are those? These are the cellular defense, phagocytes, the specific cells of our that white blood cells, which is a power to engulf the bacteria or the antigens which is coming inside the body. There are basically it is known as the phagocytes, and especially the other type of cells which is known as the natural killer cells. And these type of cells, they have power to engulf the bacteria. At the same time, if there is some injury occurs, there is some blood pours in, and there is some there's a blood clotting that develops, and that blood clotting that will lead to inflammation. What is the inflammation? That is the by which we can fight these diseases, and the production of the interferons, cytokines. These are the products which will by which we these are weapon by which we can fight against the inflammation. And basically the reaction ultimately is ultimately becomes subjected and is appreciated as a fever. So fever is not a very bad thing. It is basically a reactive process. We have to understand. But sometimes the second line may fail. Suppose this is the phagocytosis, how these cells can engulf the bacteria or any type of antigen which comes inside our system, and ultimately they becomes completely digested. But sometimes it is cannot be completely digested. Suppose this is coming inside the system, and there are cells incompletely digested, and some remnants or some toxic products of the outside, they remain inside the system. Now, how it can be it can be tackled out. Now, the third and the final line of defense comes. This is the adaptive immune system. There are the two processes, the cellular defense system and the chemical defense system. Cellular defense system is the neutrophils and the macrophage system, monocyte macrophage system. They can walk, they can, like as a policeman, they can walk by physically with the help of this cellular immunity. Whereas the other process, that are B lymphocytes, they produce the weapons, which is known as the antibodies. And there are also other points that the cytokines complement the antigens. Basically, these weapons, they are generated once any foreign material which comes inside the body as a terrorist. So once the terrorist comes, so there are two ways of fighting, either fighting by physical methods or with the help of the weapon. Physical method is fought by the cells, that is cell-mediated immunity, whereas the weapons, they're just formed by our body, is the antibodies, cytokines, complement, and now there is the catch. If the body produces this sort of weapons, that can produce that destruction, severe destruction inside the body. There is severe hyperinflammation, and what is happening we have seen in our COVID scenario, there is severe cytokine storm, and that can lead to severe catastrophe in different systems. So that is the now most important part in our body. It is the Peyer's patch. Where lies this? What is the first line of this type of defense comes out? This is the Peyer's patch. This is the lymphoid organ which present inside our intestine. And also similar type of defense system is also in our respiratory system. These two areas, they fight first. These are the first line of defense. So from this knowledge, we have to understand that we have to strengthen this power of this local police station, either in the respiratory system or in the gastrointestinal system. Now, how the diet helps in immune system? So diet directly produce this sort of vitamins and the minerals that causes they are strengthen this first, second, and third line of defense, where that they can produce ultimately the cell-mediated immunity or the antibodies, and that can completely eliminate the antigens. Now, there are several reasons behind the variable inflammatory response in our COVID-19 we have seen. Apart from the human innate and adaptive system, the environmental factors like the unbalanced nutrition, toxins, inflammations, then sudden lifestyle changes in the lockdown or quarantine period, they are very much responsible for variable inflammatory system. Similarly, deficiency in the essential nutrients are associated with an impairment of the cell-mediated immunity. So that is also responsible for our destruction. So that is how we can influence our internal homeostasis, internal environment, by changing our diet. That is why we are here to discuss our diet. What happens in immunosuppression? Immunosuppression, the victims, who are the victims of the immunosuppression? The persons undergoing the chemotherapy, radiation, or a marrow or the stem cells transplantation, or the COVID infection is a very, very important scenario that leads to progressive anorexia. There is deficiency in different essential nutrients, as also not only the deficiencies are responsible, but also the nutritional excess. So beware of that. So those who are in the poor socioeconomic strata, they are not only the victims, but also in the higher society. Those who are nutritional excess of carbohydrate, saturated fats, coupled with the physical inactivity, these are the very, very important risks to obesity, can also deregulate the immune system of the host, thereby increasing the susceptibility to the infection. This is also important. So this undernutrition is not important. Overnutrition, as also the physical inactivity, is also responsible for this sort of immunosuppression. What is the problem? There are several. There are victims by the virus, atypical and opportunistic organism. Now, what are the markers of immunosuppression? How do you know that the body is going to become immunosuppressed and they're attracting diseases? In cellular level, the ratio of the T helper cells, these are the different categories of the lymphocytes, T helper cells to T suppressor cells. If there is a ratio is reduced, that there is a high chance of infection. Whereas some biomarkers I've already told, there are some good biomarkers, there are bad biomarkers. There are the good biomarkers like the interleukin 10, 6, 17. They reduced. There are anti-inflammatory markers, whereas there are some pro-inflammatory markers like interleukin 1, interleukin 6, and the tumor necrosis factor. They increase their level, and they will show that the body is going to become diseased. So if the body is going to become diseased, there are the raised level of pro-inflammatory markers and reduced level of the anti-inflammatory markers. These anti-inflammatory markers, from where they are produced? They are produced from their local police station. They already told there is a Pierce patch, which is direct relationship with the environment. That is how we can change that environment, that change the power of this policeman with the help of our diet. Now, how the unbalanced diet is related with the destructive and excessive inflammation. As you can see here, unbalanced diet, and that leads to there is a derangement of the cells, the CD8, that is the suppressor cells, as of the helper lymphocytes, and they produce excessive cytokines. That is also, so if there is their function is deranged, they will produce excessive cytokines, that are excessive inflammation. So what will do? The unbalanced diet, there are improper neutrophil recruitment, there are the impaired T and B cells antigen presentation, that will produce a severe inflammation because of the severe cytokine storm, and that will lead to there are several system dysfunction, the ARDS system, and ultimately multi-organ failure. Now the question is, can change the diet influence the outcome of immunosuppression? Yes, there are several evidences are there. Disrupted eating schedule, frequent snacking can result in decrease in the T cells. Delayed immune response, increased inflammation occurs in the diet high in saturated fat. High sugar diet, that reduces the function of the T cells, and that reduces the power of the phagocytosis. And the poor dietary habit results in reduction of the T and B lymphocytes. Now, the question is how to strengthen our innate and the human adaptive immunity to prevent the infection. To maintain the healthy gut microbiome, that is the main bacteria I've already shown. The bacteria which inside the gut, which comprises the healthy gut microbiome, which strengthen the natural barrier. So if a diet rich in short chain fatty acids and the high omega-3 and omega-6 ratio will promote a strong immune response and decrease the inflammation. If the sugars are consumed only at a low level, the activity of the neutrophils and phagocyte will increase, and accompanying increase in the T cells will occur if an adequate levels of minerals and vitamins, carotenoids, selenium, zinc, they will protect against the inflammation. Now, how the fat? What are the classification of the fat? So if you see this classification, fats can be classified as a saturated fat, which is present in the red meat and the dairy products. There's a monounsaturated fats like in olive oil and nuts, and the polyunsaturated. These saturated fats are very bad for the body. How it can produce the harm for the body, I will show. And the polyunsaturated fatty acids is maybe omega-3 and omega-6, of which the omega-3 is the most important fatty acids, which is helpful for the body. And they are divided into this EPA and the DHA, which is specifically seen in the oily fish. Whereas the omega-6, it is present in the spreads and the oils, nuts and seeds. These polyunsaturated fatty acids are useful for the body. Now, how though this saturated fat helps, or it causes the harm to the body? If the saturated fats increases in the body, that will causes the leaky gut. That will damage the microbacteria, which is healthy microbacteria in our gut. That causes the leaky gut, so that the gates are open, so that the multiple bacteria can enter inside the body. That is most important. That is how they cause harm to the body. Not only that, this saturated fat that causes the increased cytokine production. I already showed it, how the cytokine production, cytokine storm can cause the multiple organ failure. So this saturated fat is very bad for our body. That will cause the leaky gut. So gates are open in the gut, so that multiple mycobacteria can enter inside the body, as also they produce a severe cytokine production. Well, how the good fat functions? This good fat, they reduce the inflammatory factors, they reduces the pro-inflammatory markers. I already shown there's interleukin 6, interleukin 1, whereas they increases the anti-inflammatory cytokine, that is interleukin 10, Omega-3 fatty acids were able to lower the inflammation in the healthy middle-aged and older adults by decreasing the interleukin-6, which is the pro-inflammatory. So basically, in conclusion, the good fat that reduces the pro-inflammatory marker that increases the anti-inflammatory cytokine. Now the protein helps. The recommended daily dietary allowance of the protein is 19 to 56 gram per day. So if it is 60 kg weight of the body, so we have to, if it's any 60 kg healthy person, they have to take the protein at least, that is 1 gram per day, 1 gram per kg. That means 50, that is 60 kg, 60 gram protein should be taken. But if the protein intake should be increased, it can be increased more than 1 gram to 2 gram. That can be proposed in any infective scenario, or in a where the patient is already suffering from diseases, in any disease condition, or in an inflammatory condition, those patient is suffering from different inflammatory diseases, that protein intake can be increased up to 1 to 2 kg per day. The deficiency is accompanied by the thinner collagen and the connective tissue, because protein is a bodybuilding substances. So that can increases the strength of our connective tissue disorder. They increases our physical barrier, which results in favorable environment for the aggressor. And most important mention we have to mention is the glutamine and the arginine, which is the essential amino acids in our protein, which is abundant in the meat and the nuts, which is directly increases the number of the T cells, T lymphocytes, and antibody productions by the B lymphocytes that helps against the inflammatory process. Now, I specially mentioned how the L-arginine functions. This L-arginine, which is present in our proteins, red meat and nuts, in our food, by nitric oxide synthesis, they produce the nitric oxide. This is a magic protein. This is a magic substances, because this nitric oxide that maintains the vascular endothelial growth factor, that maintains the integrity of the walls of the blood vessels. So that the blood vessels are the walls of the blood vessels are strengthened, no bacteria or any antigen can enter inside the body. So it is most important. They stabilize the membrane of all of our body. So this is nitric oxide, there is vascular endothelial growth factor that produces the vascular endothelial growth factor that increases the angiogenesis. So there are blood supply, increases the blood supply in different parts of the body. So that increases the nutrition. Not only that, this arginine that increases the triple helix formation of our collagen. This is basically, it is present in all the cell membrane of the barrier system, which is basically it is the barrier against the infection. This nitric oxide, which is produced from the arginine, that helps to enhance the collagen synthesis, which is responsible for, and again, who maintain this coiling? This is the vitamin C. So this most important. Once the protein, this is nitric oxide, which is originated from the arginine, as also the vitamin C that will maintain this coiling. So how will this coiling is basically important for maintaining our membrane strength. So this, if the membrane strength is intact and strengthened, that will prevent the entrance of any infection in our body. Now the vitamin C acts, it strengthens the barrier, as also improve the phagocytosis. There are several fruits, as you can see here, this is rich in vitamin C. Now, vitamin D, how it acts? This is a very, very important role. Vitamin D maintains the structural, that is tight junction, and the functional integrity of the mucosal cells in innate barrier, like the respiratory system, in the skin, as also in very important for the prevention of the viral infection. It also helps in differentiation of the monocytes to macrophages. Macrophages is a very larger size of the cells, which can have the power of phagocytosis, that is engulfing the antigens. And also this vitamin increases the superoxide synthesis. Basically, it increases the expression of anti-inflammatory cytokines. Not only that, vitamin D is basically, it acts as a gate blocker. How the infection gets entry inside the body, that is a special receptor, which is known as the ACE2 receptor. Because through this gate, it is any SARS-CoV virus or any dangerous virus gets entry in our body with the help of this gate, that is the ACE2 receptors. And most important function of the vitamin D is it blocks the gate. Once the gate is blocked, so that no infection can gets entry inside the body. Now vitamin A, these are the several sources of the vitamin. I'm not going to detail of the papaya, fish, broccoli, all are rich in vitamin A. Basically, they are responsible for regulation of the innate and the cell-mediated immunity and the humoral antibody response, that is the antibody production. Now, immunomodulating micronutrients, the zinc, how it functions. Zinc actually basically is important for structural, functional integrity of the skin and the mucosal cells. Selenium is the antioxidant property. It prevents the mutation of the viral genomic RNA that leads to the increased virulence. And iodine is most important to improve the phagocytosis. So iron, how it helps? There are several animal sources like beans, lentils, cashews, spinach, and the whole grains. Iron is essential micronutrient from the differentiation and the growth of the epithelial tissues, intracellular microbial killing, and the cellular immunity by forming the toxic hydroxyl radicals. It maintains a certain level of interleukin C and interferon production. And iron supplementation in children reduces the risk of respiratory tract infections, the direct evidence. So these are the several. Iron is also important to take. Now, magnesium, how it helps? It decreases the oxidative stress. It increases the natural killer cell activity that destroys the several important infections. Antibody is also, this magnesium is responsible to distinguish between the self and the non-self, so that any proteins which enters inside the body, that can be considered as a foreign protein with the help of this magnesium. Now, how this knowledge can be reproduced into the dietary intake, this is most important. Now, there are fruits and vegetables. There are citrus fruits like lemon, orange, sweet lime, kiwi, a banana. Lemon is a rich source of vitamin C. When added to the water, lemon has the ability to balance the pH level of the body from acidic to alkaline level, because acidic level is favorable for the disease. And once it is converted to alkaline, so the power of the disease production of the bacteria becomes less. Mango is a very important substance, which is a mangiferin, apart from the different vitamins, which is specifically is the antiviral, anti-inflammatory products. Now, the source of the complex carbohydrate essential fatty acids and 9 essential amino acids. These are the story of 3 sisters. This is a corn, you can see here. Corns provide the structural support to the bean. Bean provides the nitrogen to all the growth. By the squash, this is squash, the third. There is a younger sister. The squash plants grow the low and the wide around the corn and beans. They huge leaves carpeting the ground and preventing both the weed growth and evaporation of the soil moisture. They provide the moisture to the growth for the growth of this corn and the bean. So these three sisters, corn, beans, and the squash, it is a very rich source of complex carbohydrate, essential fatty acids, and the 9 essential amino acids, among which the arginine is the most important, I already described. Now, the latest, this concept is the probiotics and the prebiotics, which is the most important for reduction of the inflammatory response initiated from the infections. What is the probiotics? It is a alive microorganism which can provide the health benefits on a host when administered in adequate amount. So microorganisms present in the mucosa of the gut and upper respiratory tract from undigested fermented food, they produce the short chain fatty acids, which maintain the integrity of the epithelial barrier, decreasing the leaky gut, so that they can block the gate, so that the infection that cannot get entry inside our body, thus modulate the immune and the inflammatory response in our gut. They induce both the production of the pro-inflammatory cytokines in order to facilitate the immune system, as also the production of the anti-inflammatory cytokines in order to have a balanced homeostasis by reducing the excessive inflammatory reaction induced by the infection. Now, probiotics, it is a good Samaritan of our body. We have around 1 to 3 kg of the bacteria living in our system. So inadequate amount of prebiotics can also lead to the decreased growth of good bacteria, because they act as a colonization barrier, preventing entry of the bacteria. They produce the bacteriocin. There are several compounds they produce, like the hydrogen peroxide, diacetyl, and the short chain fatty acids, and they produce the immunoglobulin A. This is another. There's antibiotics. That is antibodies which acts against the antigens. It compete for the nutrients. They utilize the monosaccharides, which results in inhibition of the Clostridium difficile. Now, evidence of beneficial effects of probiotics. So there are several benefits, like the increases in the peripheral blood proportion of the natural killer cells. If we take the probiotics in adequate amount, it is evidenced by the amount of natural killers in a blood will increase, and the tumoricidal activities increases, which increases the phagocytic activity. So daily ingestion of fermented milk, which contains the lactobacillus casei, improve the innate defense capacity in 45 healthy middle-aged people. It is studied by the Para MD in 2004. And also they increases the natural killer cell tumoricidal activity. So what are the foods containing the probiotics? This is sauerkraut. This is a fermented piece of the cabbage, which synthesizes the vitamin B12 for a healthier gut, yogurt, beet sauerkraut, kefir, garlic, and the onion. And there are another important kefir and the kombucha. Kombucha is a very rich in calories, the low in calories, but rich in protein, fat, and the fiber. They may be higher in the sugar. So if it is a diabetic patient, we can prescribe the kefir, which is a dairy product. Sometimes what are the coconut waters, the higher in the calories, protein, fat, then the sugar content is relatively lower. Nutrition is provided the calcium, vitamin A and D. Probiotic, yes, it has a rich in probiotics. Kombucha basically is a fermented tea. Kefir grains is a valuable source of lactic acid bacteria and the probiotics. Another important is the probiotics. Prebiotics is the substrate that is selectively utilized by the host microorganism. Prebiotic is basically it is the food of the good bacteria of the probiotics. So probiotics is the good bacteria. Prebiotics is the foods of the good bacteria. These foods cannot be digested, but that acts these products of these prebiotics that helps the prebiotics to help against the fighting against this infection. There are several prebiotics like inulin, polydextrose, maize fibers, wheat bran, fructopolysaccharides, and galactosaccharides. They act as a prebiotics. They acting as a food of these good bacteria. Now, examples of the prebiotics, basically they acting as an anti-inflammatory and the anti-aging properties. So these are the honey, all of you know, this is rich in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, cholesterol-free. Neem is also important, the antibacterial, is an antifungal and the blood purifier. Olive oil is rich in monosaturated fatty acids, reduces the risk of the cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular, as also it acts against the breast cancer. And coconut oil, it's antiviral, antifungal, and the antibacterial properties. Nuts and seeds, it is an extremely important food for the anti-aging properties. The dates, apricots, and the groundnuts, almonds, pine. It is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, zinc, and magnesium. It also enables the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins. Oatmeal is rich in the dietary fiber and the proteins, and green tea regulates the blood sugar, improve the brain function, and enhance the metabolism. Turmeric, it is very important. It is easily available in our kitchen, but we don't know this. It has a curcumin, which one of the primary ingredients in turmeric. It is a highly antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. It is rich in antioxidants, and iron helps in boosting the immunity and energy levels. Legumes, it is also important. Legumes it contains the prebiotic galacto-oligosaccharides. It is basically the blessings of our mother. It is a natural source of galactosamine, galacto-oligosaccharides. It's the breast milk and the mammalian milk. So after the breast milk, if it only is available in the beans, peas, lentils, and soybeans, legumes, it reduces the appetite, food intake, and also reduces the inflammation. Now, what are the disadvantages of the prebiotics? Prebiotics, they act as they acting on the good bacteria in our gut. They produce some gases, so that causes the bloating. So how to prevent the bloating? So that is the fennel, the mori, and the cumin. There's a jeera. That is why these are the substance which is added in our food to prevent to avoid the bloating. And that is why these, after the end of our feast, we actually offer our guest with the help of the mori. This is the fennel, that avoid the bloating in our gut. Now, another important point is the ginger. Ginger contains the antioxidants, the gingerol. It protects against the collagen breakdown of our skin. Now, at a glance, prebiotics, prebiotics basically is a good bacteria in our gut. If we can introduce this good bacteria in our gut. So to fight against our bacteria, basically there are several foods like that: garlic, bananas, wheat bran flowers, asparagus. And the probiotics, it is a good bacteria, and the prebiotics, the food for their bacteria. Prebiotics essentially fibers from the plants. They basically acting as a fiber. They're undigested fibers. They help the good bacteria to fight against the infection. Now, what are the foods rich in the probiotics? The fermented foods, dairy like the yogurt, vegetable origin, the sauerkraut, probiotic supplements, freeze-dried bacteria in the powder, capsule, in the tablet form. Lastly, the anti-aging natural fruits. What are the anti-aging? These are the, see, can you tell what is this? This is the avocado. This is basically, it is in Indian scenario, it is known as the makhana. It is looking like very soft food. It is very rich in ABC, vitamin A, B, C, and vitamin K, and that is extremely important to prevent the wrinkles in the skin. So this A for avocado, this is the apricot, this is the walnut, this is the B for this broccoli, banana, this is the papaya, this spinach. This is the one most important. This is known as the pomegranate. Now you don't know what is the good role of the pomegranate. Pomegranate is basically, it is two substances. Basically, it is the punicalagin, it acting as a strength of the skin, and also it has as a urolithin A, which reacts with the gut bacteria, which reverses the muscle aging. So it is an extremely good anti-aging process. That is the cucumber, the orange, and the lemon. These are all the anti-aging properties. So take home message. So to be avoided in our diet should be white sugars, white bread. All the white is not good. White sugars, white bread, fried food, processed meat, smoking, and heavy alcohol. You can take alcohol, but in a very limited amount. So this has to be avoided for prevent the aging, as also to make our body healthy. A diet rich in short chain fatty acid with a high omega-3, omega-6 ratio and high protein, especially if you contain the arginine containing protein, will promote the strong immune response and decrease the inflammation. What is the ideal? We should be take the adequate protein. I've already shown this, at least 1 gram per kg per day. Protein should be taken. Pre and probiotics. That is the prebiotics. It is basically the food for the bacteria, and the probiotics, the good bacteria, the symbiotic, to improve the gut and the respiratory tract mucosal dysbiosis, thereby improving the overall immune response. As also the fresh vegetables and the fruits I've already shown, they are basically important for a healthy life. Thank you. Thank you. Over to Alia.
Okay, so now let's start our panel discussion. So I'm going to ask the first question.
Alisha, just give me 1 minute. So before that, I would request Dr. Shinjita to guide us with something. As for example, we want to know some food to enrich our calcium level. So what are those particular food? Because Dr. Fal give us a very good idea कि क्या food लेना चाहिए for healthy immunity and all these things. But what are the calcium enriched food and what the quantity we should take?
I have a small presentation, if you allow me, on this particular topic, calcium. So I can share with you, and it will answer most of your questions.
How long for that? Because it's already
only a short presentation,
okay,
5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just quickly taking you through the presentation. It is a very short presentation, so that we can move on very quickly. So basically 3 ingredients are required for healthy bones. These are calcium, vitamin D3, and proteins. So these are the 3 most important things we should consider in our diet, daily diet. So as we have talked about, it is required throughout all stages, children, adults, maternal health, and as well as the elderly. So what happens is there are certain factors which causes calcium deficiency, like less intake, decreased absorption, decreased capacity of intestinal cells, and decreased retention of calcium by the kidneys. For these reasons, we need to supplement calcium in our diet. And for vitamin D3 also, because of the less exposure to sunlight, though we live in a sun-exposed country, there are certain limitations. Because of the environmental pollution levels, there are factors which hinder the absorption of vitamin D3 from the sunlight sources. So that again has to be supplemented. And also very important factor is protein, which is the main matrix of the bone. So for bone formation, protein, calcium, vitamin D3, we have to keep in our mind that these are the three most essential elements. So what happens is, now we are coming to the sources of calcium. Now, good sources of calcium are milk and milk products, no doubt. It is because the best example of best source of calcium is milk. Even if not the whole cream milk, we can take skimmed milk for people who are calorie conscious, who need to reduce calorie, or in diabetics, you can go for skimmed milk. But even if you are taking skimmed milk, remember that the quantity of calcium is also good enough even in skimmed milk. Then comes the egg, fish. In Bengali diet, we take a lot of fish, and this is a very good source of calcium for us. So we as Bengalis should continue taking fish. Green leafy vegetables again is a good source, but the problem with green leafy vegetables is a lot of phytates and oxalates are present in green leafy vegetables, which to some extent inhibit absorption of calcium. And cereals like ragi are rich sources. But remember, again, rice is a very deficient source of calcium. So we people who eat rice mainly, again, must supplement with either milk or milk products. Like daily requirement for Indian men, it is 400, women 400 milligrams normal per day. But for pregnancy, the demand goes up to as high as 1000 milligrams per day. And this is also same for lactating periods. So these are the Indian standards. For Western people, it might be a little bit higher, up to 600 milligrams per day. And as we have talked about, oxalates and phytates inhibit calcium absorption. So the disadvantage of taking calcium from green leafy vegetables is that these oxalates and phytates, which are present in large amount in green leafy vegetables. So again, coming to the next, so that was about calcium. The next nutrient which is required for bone health is vitamin D3. And of course, the sources are sunlight and food like mushrooms, liver, yolk, butter, fish oils, and fortified food. We have to remember that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So any source of fat like ghee, butter, oil will all contain vitamin D. And the daily requirement is 400 IU for 1 to 2 years old children, and for adults it is 600 to 800 IU per day. So vitamin D is again provided by the sunlight, but the problem is the geographical latitude, skin pigmentation, use of sunscreen, age, smoke, the duration of exposure. All these factors again hinder the absorption of vitamin D. So what happens is, even though we are living in a tropical country, we do not exactly get the required amount of vitamin D from sunlight source, and so it has to be supplemented somehow in the diet or in the form of supplements. And the factors that again affect bone health are things which are bad for everything, like alcohol, caffeine, and malnutrition, which is again a factor which increases the bone, decreases the bone density and predisposes to fractures and falls. Fragility of bones increases. So what we have to advise is snack on milk products more, like cheese, yogurts, nuts, and dried fruits. Drink milk-based beverages rather than the soft drinks or cold drinks which are available in the market and which our teenagers are more prone to take. So whenever we should allow them to have milk-based like lassis, which is a very good source in the summer of calcium. So smoothies, all these milk-based things. and eat balanced meals that contains calcium, protein, as well as fruits and vegetables, and move, that is spend time outdoors on physical activity that involve running, jumping, some sort of weight bearing, which is good for bone building and muscle strength as well. So these are the, in short, what I have to share regarding the diet for bone health. So the take home message is we have to increase on her protein intake, calcium intake, and decrease the junk food and alcohol and caffeine intake. So that in that way, I think we will be able to have a healthy bone along with some lifestyle modification. So that is again very important, lifestyle modification, as I have told. So these points I think will result in development of healthy bones and prevent osteoporosis and fractures. So that was a small part from my side.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Alisha.
Okay, so let's start the panel discussion. My question is, what are the symptoms or signs that the person is not getting enough vitamin D? Like we know the role of the vitamin D in our health, but how do we know its symptoms or signs in our body?
Actually, the vitamin, the deficiency, we want to know the different signs of vitamin deficiency, no? So vitamin, do you mean by that? So vitamin deficiency means what? Vitamin deficiency leads to some symptoms of aging process or some osteoporosis. So how do you know the body, there is some healthy, the patient is, health is deteriorating. So that is first of all. How do you know healthy or health is deteriorating? That means that your energy level will be less. You're getting easily become tired. Those and the signs of the aging is basically the development of the wrinkles, develops from the bags under the eyes. There are some wrinkles development around the cheeks, around the and around the lips, and also there are some easily fatigue. So suppose but I'm giving a very simple test. That is, if there's a prolonged sit and get up quickly. At least sit for 10 minutes and ask anybody to just stand up quickly. If anybody above 40-45 years old, if uses their hand to getting stand up, that means the muscles of the trunk and also the thighs are going to become weak. So these are the signs, right? We are getting to become unhealthy person. So there are some of the vitamin deficiencies. It is very difficult to understand, but these are the signs we treat them. So and also the osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is not a disease of the body. As we are going to osteoporosis, the number of muscle fibers is going to become less in our body. So we are very much weak. Suppose I'm giving an example. Somebody is asking that I'm not unable to use the staircase from just or flat on the third floor. Yeah, but at 2 years back, I was able to use the staircase. So that indicates that the trunk muscles are going to become weaker. These are the signs of going to become unhealthy. Another important point is that the foods are stuck inside the teeth. That indicates the gums are become loose, and as a teeth, very important. The teeth and the muscles of her mouth is a very important muscles that these required every day, almost in a moment. Those who are using, they're talking, use of our eating, everything. So if these muscles are going to become atrophied or wasted, that indicate there's a first sign is the foods are becoming stuck inside in between our teeth. So these are the signs of the unhealthiness. Anything to be added, Dr. Dotto?
Yeah, and in severe forms, though we do not find these days, vitamin D deficiency leads to rickets in children and osteomalacia in adults. But very rarely do we see, I think, these forms of severe diseases nowadays, because of the various national programs where most of the children are being supplemented or So actually, children, the most severe form is rickets, and in adults, it is osteomalacia.
Just adding, Dr. Dattu, one of my students actually, I am teaching dance as well. So one of my students, she is class 6 standards. Just last 1 year, she was suffering from rickets only.
Yeah, and
So
this
nowadays also they are
osteomalacia
suffering.
also is, yeah, osteomalacia also becomes common in the people who are less exposed to sun and are covered up, all bodies are covered up. So this again is happening due to vitamin D deficiency also.
Now, I have one question to Dr. Pal also. Sometimes we feel pain in our hands or like that. So, is it because of deficiency of vitamin D or calcium?
No. Single episode of pain is not a deficiency. I've already told, suppose you are, as we are growing older, breast. So sometimes if you feel pain after walking for some time, so that is also very important. So not just just one episode of pain in our shoulder or in the back is not a that maybe could be some inadequate muscle
Your
power
voice is not
or
very clear. बीच-बीच में break हो रहा है, please.
yes. Okay. So basically, one episode of pain and also one episode of pain in one part of the body is not a feature of the bad health. But if the patient is having a frequent complaint of the pain in the back, pain in the shoulder after walking for sometimes, and that this time span of walk is going to become reduced day by day, that is very alarming. That is very alarming.
Thank you. Alisha, please.
Good evening, doctors. I had a question related to food nutrition. How many servings from each food group do I need each day to have a healthy and balanced diet?
Dr. Dotto, please.
Actually, for each age group, there is a specific amount of requirement of calories, requirement for calcium. So your calcium should be such that it is serving at least 400 milligrams of calcium per day for if you are an adult, or if you are a child, it should be up to 500 to 600 milligrams per day. So if you take one glass of milk each day, if you are a teenager or a child, and followed by the normal healthy diet that we have in our homes, like meat, fish, not exactly meat, but fish and green leafy vegetables, that those servings per day with your meat. So that will, I think, will suffice for the calcium and vitamin D requirement. What is important is to have a balanced diet, not the number of servings, but to you have a balanced diet according to the calorie requirement and according to your mineral and nutrient requirement for your age and sex, and then accordingly, or the physiological state, like if you are pregnant or lactating or anything else. So according to that, you should have adequate servings of everything, and you should avoid the junk food like cold drinks and all the artificially sweetened food. So maybe with every meal, you can have a serving of fruits or vegetables. Like for breakfast, you can have a healthy serving of fruits, and for lunch and dinner, you can have servings of pulses, legumes along with vegetables. So that will help you, and adequate amount of everything should be balanced in the diet.
Exactly. Just I want to highlight one thing. The teenagers, they are very much fond of some taking some junk food, some like cheese popcorns. I know you are very lucky that cheese popcorns has also along with some cool drinks. These are the very dangerous too, because we have we experience, all of you experience. So if we keep your ghee or any makhan inside our freeze, what will happen? It becomes freeze. Solid. So if the food fatty substances in our gut, along with some cold drinks, what will happen? They becomes very much inside our gut, and they become secreted in our feces. So they will not come inside our body. So that is a very dangerous. So that has to be avoided.
So one good way of avoiding cold drinks is you have lassis in summer. You can have lassis in summer. It is a very good source of calcium, and it is not also calorie rich. So you go for milkshakes, go for fruits with milkshake, mango shakes. Very good way of supplementing your diet
Absolutely.
and not taking cold drinks.
Thank you, doctors. I had one more question. I have heard of the term bloating quite often. So, what is it, and what foods cause bloating?
Yes. I have already have talked with me in our lecture. So the foods actually they react in our bacteria in our body, and especially the fatty contents, fats, which are basically which is not digested, and that causes some gases inside our system, and that is expelled in periodically. That is basically is the bloating. Basically, it is not a very bad things. This is basically it is a reaction, interaction between our good bacteria in our body, also some indigestions, so little bit of indigestion. So basically, this is actually there's a methane gas. Actually, this is produced, and also there are some other substances which becomes going out on our body. This is basically that is indicates what the gut and our gut system is working. So this is very important. It's not a bad thing, I think. Dr. Dotto, please, what do you mean?
Yeah, and this gives rise to a sensation of fullness. And so you have, I think, a bit of discomfort, fullness in your tummy, and decreased appetite. So all these occurs, but basically it is due to the bacterial reactions in the gut. So sometimes also people might have lactose intolerance, which is the intolerance to milk and milk products, so which can again lead to formation of gaseous matter in your gut, and that can again lead to a sensation of bloating. So for these people, what I suggest is, I think even if you're intolerant to milk, I think some people can still tolerate a small amount of curd, which is fermented milk, and then a little bit of curd, and these things can be tolerated. Again, if you are requiring calcium, then these can be used as sources of calcium. So even if you are not taking milk, curd can be a good, because of lactose intolerance, curd can be a good source of milk. And I think you have to, overt lactose intolerance is very rare. So what some people tolerate up to certain levels of milk products. So you have to find out up to which level you can tolerate. And so that amount can be taken in your diet. Otherwise, if you are overtly intolerant to lactose, then you have to go for non-milk products or other sources of calcium or supplements. But still, some amount of curd is, or some amount of skimmed milk, suppose skimmed milk again, which is less on fat, can be tolerated even in most lactose intolerant people. So those can be tried out.
Doctor, may I ask you a very silly question?
Yes.
After the age of 45, say 45, 50 or 60, should we take calcium or other vitamin in this regard regularly, on a regular basis? Should we?
Yes, actually, basically the question is, we have to, after a certain period of age, and suppose for the female, once they have crossed their menopausal age, that basically scientific step is we have to estimate the bone strength. There are several ways to have estimation of the bone strength, with the help of the DEXA scan, which is accurately measured the strength of the bone, especially on the femoral neck, as also on our spine. And this is known as the DEXA scan. This is little bit costlier investigation. There are some other qualitative screening investigation is also there, like BMD test with the help of the ultrasound, that can also be for determining the bone strength. Those who are losing the bone strength, they have to take this trio, that is calcium, vitamin D, as also the anti-disruptive drugs. This is most important. So there are some parameters, like, so if suppose we have estimate the bone mineral density test. A normal bone mineral density test should be less than -1. If it is between the -1 to -2.5, that is known as the osteopenia, then we have to be very much cautious about it. We have to take the healthy diets as Dr. Dotto prescribed, that is calcium, vitamin rich food, as also have the sunshine. Especially the sunshine, we have to use the sunshine between the 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at least 30 minutes to have to expose our 1/5 of our body except the face and the eyes to the sunlight, so that the vitamin D will become we can acquire about. And also the anti-resorptive agent you have to take, if it that, because that will prevent the destruction. And also those who are definitely osteoporotic, that is the BMD score is more than -2.5, they definitely have to take this trio, that is calcium, vitamin D, as also the anti-resorptive drugs. And there are, depending on the anti-resorptive drugs, if depending on the severity of the osteoporosis, there may be oral medicine, as also some injectables also. Injectables, daily injectables also, then 6 monthly injectables also, or every system is there. So depending on the this is a scientific approach. So this should not be the generalized. So if a patient is healthy, there is no problem at all. They have to take some healthy diet. That is sufficient enough. But at least once in a year, with everybody which is after 45 in all the females, and also the males over 60 years, they have to check their bone strength either by the DEXA or by the ultrasound. This is my opinion. Dr. Dotto?
Yes, also the vitamin D level. That is again, what I find is, even though we are living in tropics, most of our vitamin D levels in blood is far below the normal range. So again, vitamin D supplementation needs to. Vitamin D is not only, it is required for every process, almost every process in the body. So starting from immunity, starting from antioxidant properties, starting from protection against diseases, to healthy bones, calcium absorption, everywhere it is required. So vitamin D is again should be supplemented after checking the vitamin D level.
Thank you, doctors.
I have a question. How to improve calcium levels without supplement?
Without supplement?
Dr. Dotto, please.
Yeah, basically without supplements, diet and healthy lifestyle. So what is diet? I have discussed, I think, what you should take and what you should avoid. That has been discussed. Now coming to the other part, that is you have to exercise, mainly the weight bearing exercises like running, jogging, jumping. So these will again increase the bone formation and calcium deposition, mineralization of the bones. So again, muscle strength will increase. So like Tai Chi is a very good exercise for bones. So so these exercises, and of course the healthy diet and healthy lifestyle, these will be actually, as children you should go for this for every aspect, not only for calcium, for a healthy living, for a healthy foundation. So these has to be followed lifelong, and it is not a one-day process, it is a lifelong process, and it is a lifestyle approach which you have to adapt to your system. Not that you would exercise one day and then what I suggest is you try to do something which you find interesting, so that you can continue it even in your later life. You can go for jogging 1 kilometer per day for 10 days, but try to find something which is interesting to you, like dance. So that can be a good form, like so that if the exercise is interesting, you would be able to sustain it for life. And as you know, the healthy lifestyle should be sustained for life. So that is.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. It was very helpful.
Just I want to add that that is in exercise is extremely important, as it is a Pandora's box. We have opened it. So basically, the exercise, everybody should do the exercise regularly. Regularity is extremely important, and that depend the number of the different types of exercise depends on the different ages group. And in the older age, and that just I want to mention, this most important is the walking. Walking either as brisk as possible, as with as speed as possible. It is most important to maintain the system in all over the body. Walking. Otherwise, this is another important Tai Chi exercise. Basically, it's from the freelance dancing actually. So basically, that increases the bonding. It increases the relationship between each other. Because distresses the body, as also increases flexibility of the body. This is most important. So we have to increase the flexibility of the body as we grow older. This is most important. So this is also very this Tai Chi exercise is extremely important for the older age group. In the younger age, there are several others like there are some muscle building exercise, cycling, gymnastic, everything. But the older age group, one is the most important. It is a walking as brisk as possible, so that some sweating develops within 20 to 30 minutes. And another is this Tai Chi exercise is most important.
Actually, WHO recommends at least 30 minutes of brisk walking for at least 5 days a week for everybody. But in children, it is more. But for adults, it is at least 30 minutes per day, at least 5 days a week, brisk walking. Brisk walking means that is you walk with such a speed that you sweat, and the hands should be like this, and then it is not running actually, but walking only. So that is recommended.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And for children, it is actually 1 hour of exercise per day. For adults, it is 30 minutes, but for children, it is 1 hour.
Exactly.
Okay, ma'am. I have another question. Does, like, we know that our mental health affects our physical health also, but is the vice versa happens? Does nutritional deficiencies affect mental health too?
Of course, nutritional deficiencies affect your mental health. Like in iron deficiency, the cognitive function of your brain decreases. So IQ decreases. For even in iron deficiency, your IQ decreases. So of course, nutritional deficiency affects your cognitive ability, affects your mental functions. And what happens is exercise is not only good for your physical health, it is good for your mental health as well. Because when you exercise, serotonin is being released, and it is a very good factor which relaxes your mind. So exercise has to be done both for physical as well as mental health. And of course, your nutrition affects your cognitive function, affects your mental health. And so both has to be taken care of.
Absolutely. Those who are mentally very agitated, they attract the disease much more frequently than those who are mentally in very calm, cool and calm. So we have to control our mental status. Is extremely important. There are several distressing mechanisms we have, like yoga, and we have meditation, like this Tai Chi exercise. Just I have shown this extremely. This is the form of distressing. Nowadays, the maximum stress is given on the mental distressing. Unless you become distressing, so you don't get any motivation for exercise. You will not get any motivation to take the healthy diet. Everything is in our mind. So what we sow, so that we reap. So if our mind is cool and calm, then only everything can be done. So there's a direct relationship of this mind with the body and the immunity. So extremely important.
From Rotary Club, any questions? Because our volunteers will always ask so many questions. So from Rotary Club, any question?
So it was an insightful panel.
Just 1 minute. Koi questions from Rotary Club members?
You see, in Rotary Club, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Dr. Paul, in Rotary Clubs, most of us are, senior citizens. So it's not possible always to go for a walk or do some good exercise. What about yoga? I mean, if we do yoga for at least half an hour a day, Does it help?
Exactly. Yes, definitely. So basically, we have a program for the aging, and I am requesting Dr. Shreya Chattopadhyay to the another program with the especially for the older age group. How the older age group becomes the healthier, because there are several problems in the older age group. They have insecurity in the health, insecurity in the financial, insecurity in their relationships. There are several insecurities inside. So they have some problems of going out. So there are problems of disease, everything, and so how to get rid of that. So most important is the yoga and the meditation. So basically we have to do that, and we have to first of all, I suggest all our aged relatives that also make a bond. So make your close close circle. So those who are very familiar with you, maybe your friend, maybe your wife's friend, maybe your anybody, make a close circle through which make a WhatsApp circle, WhatsApp group, make a WhatsApp group, so that we can share your feelings, we can share if your anything, we can share your just making adda. So this is extremely important for the old age. So if you, this is one form of distressing, and in different parts of our country, they are doing that. They are making a small group of their the similar mental condition, and by either physical or through the help of this e-meeting, or through the WhatsApp chat, or through the Google's Drive, they can make this sort of chatting every day, so that they share their the different woes, their worries, and their several problems. This is extremely important. And also they can act as a life-saving life savers also. See, if there is any problem, anybody can go there, or can send the help to them. This is most important. Another important is this: we have to keep themselves busy in our any constructive work. So some persons are very much fond of writing, some writing in the younger age group, but because of the severe pressure of their life, they didn't get that. So they have to write anything. Even the writing the diary is a very important diary, day to day the diary. If this is autobiography, every person's autobiography may be very much interesting to their very keen, those who are next generation. So this is extremely, it will be extremely useful. So every experience of all the persons will be very much valuable for the next generation. So start to write the diaries. This is most important. And lastly, the meditation and yoga. If you do this regularly, meditation and yoga can be done in every state. There are several ways to do that. So if there is any scope, we can come again with this topic, and I'm requesting Dr. Shreya Chattopadhyay to have this sort of program, so that how to make the yoga and this meditation to make our life healthier. So in the
We
next
do one online, and 29 June we are doing it in Kolkata offline.
Definitely.
Actually, yoga is again very good, not only for your bone health, but also like controlling the chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes. So yoga is very good for controlling these as well, lifestyle diseases. So even if you are doing yoga, of course, under proper supervision and guidance, then I think it is also good enough for old people.
Exactly.
We have got one question.
May I like to add something, Shreya ma'am? Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
As you announced already, Devida, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes. Please continue.
আপনার একটা অর্ডারে আমি এত ভয় পেয়ে গেছিলাম। শ্রেয়া ম্যামের সাথে অলরেডি ডিসাইডেড অ্যান্ড টু অ্যানাউন্স হিয়ার দ্যাট 29 জুন যেটা আপনি বলেছিলেন যে একটা যোগা মানে নট অনলাইন বাট
অফলাইন যোগা সেশন,
একদম অফলাইনে হবে, যোগা ইয়ে করা হবে, ডেমো দেওয়া হবে, এবং তাতে প্রত্যেকে পার্টিসিপেট করবে। এবং সেটা 29 জুন ম্যাম শ্রেয়া ম্যাম যখন কলকাতায় আসবেন, তো তখন আমি ঠিক করেছি বিধাননগরে আমি এটা করে দেবো।
ভেন্যুটাও বলে দিন, প্রকাশ ভবন ভেন্যুটাও বলে দিন।
হ্যাঁ, ভেন্যুটা হচ্ছে আমাদের রোটারি ক্লাব অফ, নিশ্চয়ই পরে বলবো, রোটারি ক্লাব অফ প্রকাশ ভবন সল্ট লেকে সেটা হবে। সেটা অফলাইনও যেমন হবে, সেটা ভার্চুয়ালি অনলাইনও করার চেষ্টা করা হচ্ছে। ডক্টর একে পাল এবং ডক্টর দত্ত দুজনকেই বলছি, আগে থেকেই বলে রাখছি যে, এবং সেটা নিশ্চয়ই মানে অল ক্রেডিট গোস টু শ্রেয়া ম্যাম। যেভাবে মানে আপনাদের ইনস্পাইট অফ সো বিজি শিডিউল, মানে ডক্টর পাল এবং ডক্টর দত্ত, তো এবং আমি দেবিদার একটা অর্ডারটাকে আমি জাস্ট কনভে করেছি শ্রেয়া ম্যামের কাছে এবং বাকিটা উনি করে নিয়েছেন। এবং আমার পাশে ডেফিনেটলি আমার কলকাতা আমার খুব ফ্রেন্ডলি প্রেসিডেন্ট যারা আছেন, রোটারি ক্লাব অফ ক্যালকাটা এন্ডেভার সুজাতা, চারনক সিটির সুদীপ্তা, নর্থ ক্যালকাটার হচ্ছে কৃষ্ণাদি, আর এবং অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট গভর্নর রিনাদি, বা এবং একটা মিস হয়ে গেছে ক্যালকাটা কাকুরগাছির নীলাঞ্জন। এবার সবাই আমার পাশে থেকে সবাই মিলে করে এবং দেবিদার অর্ডার অনুযায়ী আমরা করার চেষ্টা করেছি আজকের ইভিনিংটা।
আরে দেবিদা অর্ডার দিচ্ছেন আজকাল।
হ্যাঁ,
দেবিদার একটা কথাতে লাস্ট সেমিনার এবং এত ডক্টর পাল আগের সেমিনারটা বোধহয় আপনারই হয়েছে, এত আমাকে এত ইয়ে করেছে, ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করেছে একটা সেমিনার, ফার্স্ট ওটা মনে আছে। এবং দেবিদা আমাকে লাস্টে জিজ্ঞেস করেছিল, এই সত্যব্রত তুমি একটা করো। তো আমি এতখানি ওরা এফেক্ট করেছিল আমাকে, মানে এত এফেক্টিভ ছিল ওই লাস্টের সেমিনারটা। তা আমি সঙ্গে সঙ্গে না, মানে কিচ্ছু বুঝে না, কারোর সাথে আলোচনা না করে আমি বলেছিলাম দেবিদা ডান ডান ডান। তো ডান ফিজিক্যালটা হয়নি, বাট সেটা নিশ্চয়ই জুন মাসে হবে, এই আর কি।
ডক্টর পাল আর ডক্টর দত্তকে যেন বলো ওরা যেন থাকে নাকি,
অবশ্যই
ভালো করে বলতে হবে।
ডক্টর পাল সম্বন্ধে যতখানি শুনছি উনি এত ব্যস্ততা, এবং ডক্টর দত্ত আজকে মানে এতখানি ওই রকম পজিশনে থেকে এই হেকটিক শিডিউলের মধ্যেও ওনারা আমাদের জন্য এতখানি সময় দিচ্ছেন। তো মনে হয় যে না উনি উই অল আর বিলং টু সেম ফ্যামিলি।
এইটার জন্য ক্রেডিট গোস টু শ্রেয়া ম্যাম, উনি ওদের মোটিভেট করছেন প্রপারলি।
আমি তো প্রথমেই বলেছি যে এন্টায়ার ক্রেডিট শুড গো টু হার। এবং
exceptionally good person, exceptionally.
We are lucky যে দেবিদার অর্ডারে আমরা এরকম গুড, আপনি ডক্টর পাল ডক্টর দত্ত আমরা সংস্পর্শে এসেছি, সান্নিধ্যে এসেছি। তো এবং আমি এই মুহূর্তে আমি মানে মোটামুটি আমি আমার ক্লাবের কাউরি সিনিয়রদের সাথে আলোচনা না করেই বলছি যে 29 জুন আমি মানে চেষ্টা করছি যাতে আরো সাকসেসফুল হয়। এবং ডক্টর পাল এবং অন বিহাফ অফ রোটারি ক্লাব অফ বিধাননগর আমি নিশ্চয়ই ফর্মাল ইনভিটেশন তো হবেই, তবে এখন থেকে আমি আমাদের তরফ থেকে ইনভাইট করে রাখছি আপনাদেরকে। এটা সল্ট লেকে জাস্ট সিটি সেন্টারের কাছেই আমাদের ইয়েটা, যেখানে আমাদের মিটিং হয়, মিটিং বিল্ডিংটা, ভেন্যুটা।
এখানে কি হাইটি থাকছে? এখানে কি হাইটি থাকছে?
আচ্ছা, যোগা করবেন হাইটির জন্য? কি অবস্থা!
না, ডক্টর পাল বলে দিয়েছেন যোগার পরে কোনো গরম কিছু না খেতে। ডক্টরদের ঠান্ডা, হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, এক গ্লাস জল খেয়ে Doctor.
I'll be happy to be part of all your future endeavors, কিন্তু এখন আমাকে একটুখানি লিভ করতে হবে। মানে
you spoke very well, madam. You spoke very well.
Thank you, sir.
We should come with yoga dress, yoga dress.
With yoga mats.
Exactly.
Dress will be sponsored by Shreya ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'm leaving now.
তখন চিন্তা আমাদের। Anyway, we got one question only in chat, so I think at least एक बार देखते हैं. How long does it take to get ACL? Priya, you are there, so can you just ask the question, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Certainly an insightful session. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
So I'm the ADH member from Deep Memorial Public School. I got an opportunity. I've just seen the invite saying, so I just thought I should join. So my question is about ACL tier. Because of this sedentary lifestyle and all our children have been confined from past 2 years, so we have been getting a lot of complaints about bone fracture, ligament tears. So ACL tear is one kind of a problem. How far does it take to get it repaired if the doctors have not suggested any surgeries? And what kind of diet should be taken if a child is through with ACL tear?
Yes, ACL tear actually basically there are maybe treated conservatively if it is a ACL tear. Otherwise, if it is a complete tear, better to become surgically repaired if it is a younger age. So if it is a younger active age, so it should be surgically treated. If it is a conservatively treated or surgically treated, whatever, the patient should return to this sport activity at least after 6 months. Before 6 months, he or she should not start their sports activity. Even walking can be allowed after 6 to 8 weeks. If it is a conservative management. If it is a surgical management, this is walking and free walking and just running, that can be just they can start from 3 months onwards. But return to sports, it should not be before 6 months. It's categorically it is given to all, so it should not return within 6 months.
Oh, okay. Thank you, doctor. It's conservatively being done. So if it is yet not repaired, what are the measures with which we can get it confirmed? Or is it so that after being, conservative method being applied for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we can just take it that it has been, recovered?
Yes, what are the conservative management? So if it is a partially tear of ACL, so what we suggest, initially we suggest some immobilization in the form of braces, different types of braces and static exercise. Still the active phase, the acute phase is over within 3 to 4 weeks. Following 3 to 4 weeks, we start the muscle building exercise, especially the quadriceps building exercise and the gentle walking from 6 to 8 weeks onwards. From 6 to 8 weeks on gentle walking and muscle building, especially the quadriceps building exercise. So gradually by increasing weight, we can increase the power of the quadriceps. So at least after 6 to 8 weeks, if the patient gains sufficient power of quadriceps, then only we can start free walking. So and free walking and just they can start the running. From 3 months onwards, they can start the running if it is conservatively treated. So still, if the return of sports, again, it should be done after 6 months, not before that.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, so as we come to the end of the event,
just 1 minute. There is one raise hand बहुत पहले से, that is Amolindu Sen. So do you want to ask any questions or we will wind up?
না ম্যাম একটা কথা বলি, অমরেন্দু সাই এবং আরেকজন দেখলাম হাত রেজ হ্যান্ড হাতটা প্রথম থেকেই হয়ে আছে।
Priya asked a question.
Priya Gambe is there, right?
So Amolindu, are you there?
No, অমরেন্দু দা probably ওটা আনি মানে এটা মিস্টেক হয়ে গেছে
ওটা। You know that person. Okay. Okay, then we can wind up. Okay, over to you.
Okay. So it was an insightful panel discussion and knowledgeable webinar. We come to know a lot of many things. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. I always love to join. This is a very, very warm audience. Actually, what I'm thinking is very interested and warm audience. And why, as Dr. Shreya requested, and at a glance, I have become given the agreement. That's how I have to do that. Actually, basically, sitting in a very cool area. Cool means in a Shillong. From Shillong, I am doing. So I'm very far.
Oh my God.
Oh God.